So, is this open? Okay, cool. All right. So in Pygame, when you were coding,
Hmm.
you didn't have to make all the. Even though like you still had to do a lot yourself, you didn't have to like make every single object yourself, right? Because I think Pygame
Yeah, no.
has
It
like
uses the
some.
library.
You had like the rect, I think, and um, you had like the game window and stuff like that. So they still give you
Yeah.
some objects, so you don't have to make everything yourself. So same thing with the
Uh-huh.
game engine, except they do even more for you. Um, and
Hmm. Okay.
and in Unity, um, we Unity calls their game objects. Okay, that's what they're called. Um,
Hmm.
and so
Okay.
in on the left side here, I can see all the game objects in my scene. Okay, so right now I only have a camera. Okay, which or this camera is the camera that the game will use when the game starts. This is different than the one my
Mm.
editor uses. Okay, and then
Okay.
and I'm moving
Yeah,
around with
yeah.
like W, A, S, and D.
Oh, and it shows you what the main camera is
Exactly.
looking at right
So
now.
like if I put
Or okay.
um, let's say if I add a cube, this is in
Okay.
front of the camera, and I can even see in here.
Okay.
hmm And
Yep.
then if I click on
Yep.
play,
Okay.
uh, I can see.
It'll show you
hmm
from the main camera. Got
And
it.
so yeah, we have three objects: a camera, a cube, and this. Okay. So these are all game objects.
Hmm.
Okay. And in terms of like being a
Yeah.
game object, they are the exact same. These three are the exact same thing because they're all game objects. But where they're different is that they have different components. Okay. So
Okay.
this game object has a camera component and an audio listener component. Okay. And a transform.
So and this is the
Mm-hmm.
camera, right? Or oh, okay, okay, sorry.
And
Go ahead.
the light also has a transform component. Okay. The transform
Mm-hmm.
just has information about like the position, rotation, and scale. Um, but yeah, this has the light component, and then the cube also is a game object, but it has a mesh filter,
A
renderer,
couple
and
more.
then a
Yeah,
collider.
yeah.
hmm
Is this is it safe to say that like all of these 3D objects will have
Exactly.
a transform?
Every single one.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
But not every
Got it.
single one will have a mesh or a box or a cube.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
So
yeah.
uh, part of learning and teaching Unity is understanding what game objects we have available. Okay. Um, you might have heard
Hmm.
of Roblox.
Hmm.
That's another thing we do here. Um,
Yeah,
Roblox
yeah.
is organized a bit differently, where not everything is um, not everything is a game object. Okay. Roblox in Roblox, everything is its own object that inherits from instance. So in Roblox, everything inherits from a class, but in Unity, everything is this class, right? So everything is a game object here, but in Roblox,
Uh-huh.
so Unity is doing like the composition architecture. Like I don't know if you remember, like in school when we took our first object oriented class, we learned about like is a relationship versus has a relationship. So like
Hmm.
a dog is a animal, and so dog
Yeah.
inherits from your animal class. So that's what Roblox
Yeah,
does.
yeah, yeah.
But Unity is like instead a dog has an animal component. Okay, or rather,
Ah, got it.
this animal has a dog component. Okay, so everything is an animal, but some animals might have a cat component or a dog component,
Um,
and so it's just a
okay, okay.
different way of organizing the same stuff. Okay, so whereas so in Unity everything has a transform component, but in Roblox everything has a position, rotation, and scale field. Okay, because they inherited those fields
Hmm.
from the their
The
the
place.
in from the higher class. Okay. Any questions there? Okay.
No. No, as of right now.
So now, there are tons of components in the game, like control audio, effects, physics, UI. Okay. You obviously don't need to learn all of them, and you don't need to teach all of them either. It's just
Yeah.
like when you're doing your search for, like when we're designing a game, or when you're designing a game using a game engine, you often want to know if there exists a component that already has these methods implemented, or has this behavior implemented, and I can just use it. So like with Pygame, I think you don't need to check. Oh, cool! Like they have a method called move, right? So you don't have to.
Yeah. Yeah. They have it. They have.
You don't have to implement your own like movement. They already have it for you. Okay. Part of the battle is being aware it exists. Okay, so that's where like preparing for the lesson comes in. But it's going to be easier to prepare for a lesson if you know what behavior. Exactly.
You want to implement for that day, or
Exactly,
for
and
the
then all you'd have to do is just find the class that does it for you, if it exists. So now, hello. Oh, it's Mike. Mahen, have you met Mike before?
Oh.
All right.
Oh
Cool.
yeah, I have met Mike.
All right. I guess he's just dropping in. All right. So, let me. Okay. Just making sure this is still going. Okay. Cool. So now, okay, Unity, bunch of game objects. Each game object has components. Okay. All right. Cool. Another thing. Okay. So in the case that Unity does not have a component that does something that does what you want, okay, you can make your own components, right? So if you want to make your own component, you need to right click, create, and you're gonna make a C# script, okay, and then and you can just call it, like, for example, let's say I want to make a component that let's say I want to make like a movement component for this guy. Okay, so we'll just say custom movement. Okay. Then, if I want to add this component, I'm gonna click and drag it here. Oh.
Okay.
Oh, the other thing is this uses the C# language, okay, but it's very similar to Java. They're basically twins, and so just like in Java, the names of the files have to have the same names of the class. Okay, there we go. So now I have, you see, now I have another component here. Okay, so now I can add my own custom behavior here, and
you would just put it through there, or would you have to open the script?
So yeah, if I want to code it, then I'd have to open up the script here.
Yeah.
It shows you the contents on the right side.
Got it.
But
Okay.
And I recommend, you can use Visual Studio Code with this, but with Visual Studio gives you the IntelliSense, so like you don't have to memorize every single property of the game object. Like I can see all the methods of the game object here.
Game object.
All right, so let me see. All right, well, we'll talk more about coding later. All right, so editor versus runtime. So in the editor, I think in Pygame doesn't have an editor, right? You just write your code um, and then it
You
just
just write
runs
your
it. Okay,
code.
so game it.
Yeah, you
hmm
run it every time.
So
Just
game
keep
engines
repeating
are a bit different, and usually they have like um, a runtime environment and then your editor environment. And so in the editor environment, you usually like um, you create all the stuff that your runtime environment's gonna need. So like for example, if you have a like if you have a light you want to turn off and on in
it.
Pygame, you'd have to like program the lights to be there, and then go ahead.
Or you could, yeah. No, 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 I said, and then for a specific amount of time, I believe you could like set it to on
Exactly.
or something like
hmm
that in
But in
Pygame.
here, you'd
Yeah.
make the light first, right? So you don't have to worry about
Mhm.
coding the
Mhm.
light to appear. You just make it exist,
Okay.
and then
Ah.
your code
Okay.
would
Okay.
only
Okay.
have to turn the light off and on. hmm
Turn on the
So
yeah, yeah, yeah. Turn on
you
the.
want when you're using Unity, you want to think like, is this something that we can do in the editor? Um, if so, like, cause like technically, um, you can add components to things while the game is running, but a lot of the times it doesn't make sense to. Like,
Mhm.
for example, if something is supposed to produce
Mhm.
sound, it just makes more sense to add
Yeah.
that sound component in the editor and then code the audio in the script versus doing both in the script. hmm
Doing both in the script. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
other things we can do in the editor, we can like we can build, uh, you can make maps. Um, oh, okay, so you can make like a map. You can. There are also some packages we're going to talk about that like gives us a lot more tools we can use in Unity. But yeah, as far as um, pretty sure you can change material. Okay.
Okay. So this would be creating the
Yeah.
map
So yeah, right
you're
now I'm
talking
like,
about.
let's say like I want to make like a blue floor.
Okay.
All right. So
And for the for creating like a floor or something, you have to create it like that, or can you just like place objects on top of the gray format that they
this
already
gray
have?
thing is not a floor. This is just a nothingness. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
So Unity
Got
is
it. It's just like a
literally,
gray.
or like the world is just empty until you put stuff in it.
Got it. Okay, okay. Perfect.
Um,
Okay.
so whereas with Roblox, they actually do give you like a floor
Hmm.
to start out with.
Okay. Hmm.
Um, okay. Oh, okay. Like if you wanted to change um, materials, you can either basically coloring. Like if you want to change a property of something, like for example, I want to like change the color of this.
Yeah.
You need to find the component. Okay. Um,
Hmm.
oh, he's in a wedding. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, he's in a
Yeah.
wedding.
All right. All right. No problem. All right. So now, um, uh, okay. So now, yeah. If you want to change something, you need to find the component that will let you change it. And sometimes components themselves have other components in them. Okay, or other game objects in them. So like, uh, if I want to change, um, um
Did it interfere with anything else, or?
I think I have to make my own material here. Let me see.
Mm.
Oh,
Excuse me.
anyways, I think they moved some stuff around, but basically, if this was me right now, I would be googling how to change the color of a material in Unity, or how to make my own material in Unity, right?
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
Or I just figured it out. I right click, create material, and
Then create, and
then
you did it so natural
yeah.
too. Like,
All right, so now because material is either going to be a
uh,
component, but it's not
mhm.
a component. Like if I switch up material here, it's not. Okay, which
Okay,
means
I
it's
see. So
a
you
game
gotta.
object. Okay, or it's a
Yeah.
um. Actually, I don't even know if you'd call this a game object. This is probably like a
I mean, if you're creating a new material, but so to me, like a game object would be like something that's placed in
exactly.
the game, of course. So when you're creating this, it's creating the object as well as like you want the color. So
Exactly.
does that kind of make sense?
I
I don't know
think
if I'm making
like game
it.
objects in Unity have to be things that have a transform. Okay, if it doesn't, if it can't have a
Yeah, yeah,
transform,
yeah.
it's not a game
Okay,
object. This is like
exactly.
basically a resource. Okay, so that you'd use. So now if I want to drag this resource into a game object, well actually I'm not dragging it into a game object. I'm dragging it into a component of a game object. But exactly. So
Oh, okay, okay. I see.
that's
I
like the
see where this is
mindset
going.
you have to have. So basically every
So if you were to move this, if you were to move this component in the cube, would it turn blue?
if I were to
Is
copy
that?
this component, well let's see,
Yeah.
I can do that. So it already has a mesh render, so I'm gonna delete its mesh renderer,
Uh-huh.
and
Okay.
then or actually I think I could just paste component values. Yep. hmm
Ah,
So
okay.
now
Got
you
it.
can have multiple things use the same material. Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
And
Got it. Okay, cool, cool. Oh,
It's your gift.
hello.
yep. We have that.
Yeah. All right. Oh, I was okay. He sent something in the chat 10 minutes ago. My bad. I'm at a wedding. Can't listen, but I wanted to say hi and thank you both. Sorry, I see it now. My bad. No problem. Yeah, I always forget. Discord
No
has their
problem.
own. They have their own
I
chat
forget
rooms now.
sometimes.
That's a.
No, their own open chat. I'm new to like not new to Discord. I
Mhm.
just don't use it as much. So like making like channels and everything and talking to people, joining the server,
Yeah.
it's difficult.
Mhm.
But I'm getting used to it.
All right. Cool. So, yeah, game object, component, or resource. Okay. And a lot of these resources you can create by right clicking and then create. Cool. So now let's check. All right, editor versus runtime. Things you can do in the editor. So the editor is for changing properties of components. And then things you can do at runtime. So you can change properties of game objects at runtime. Okay. So for example, let's say
Okay.
I wanted to change the position, okay, of this cube, okay, at runtime.
Okay.
Let's give it a different material. So you just see it better. Oh. right, cool. Oh, you can even just drag on top. That's cool. All right, so hey, how's
Yo,
it
what's
going?
up,
How's the
Jonathan?
wedding?
Oh yeah. How's everything?
It's good. What are you
Unity.
teaching?
Just giving the breakdown over the
Unity.
bird's eye view.
Nice, nice.
So
Really,
far,
really.
so good. No questions.
That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's really cool, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, listen, I'm just happen to, you know, had some downtime, so I was just listening in. Yeah.
Yeah, no worries.
All right, cool, man. So, anything, Jonathan? Anything that what do you think you should know first?
So
Just
I think
curious.
he needs to understand just how, like, if you want to make a behavior, like a student, if a student asks, if a student's project needs some sort of behavior, um where can we find the resources to just begin like searching. So I'm preparing him for his search. I'm helping him so that he can, like, you know find the correct resources to implement the things that he needs to implement. Hmm.
Okay. All right. That's pretty cool. I really
No
appreciate you
problem.
doing this, Jonathan. Thank you
No problem.
so much. Okay. All right. Well, take care of both of you guys, and I'm gonna
All
be
right.
just
No problem.
listening in. Okay.
All
I
right. No
enjoy.
worries.
Just make sure, Jonathan, that kind of really also focus on the concepts of like the whole point of unity.
Exactly.
You know
And
what I mean?
I'm also Go ahead.
Like that. No, no, no. Just like it's like the whole concept of unity. What's the point of it?
Exactly. Like, why would we pick Unity over something else? Hmm.
Yeah, like in the architecture, how does unity kind of how does unity kind of think about
Like, organize everything.
you know
Hmm.
yeah, how does what's the architecture, like Roblox Studio has, like the Roblox Studio team made the studio where you can either programmatically do things, or you could do things on
Exactly.
the visual, but at the same time doing things on the visual is really just a shortcut to doing it
Exactly.
programmatically,
Hmm.
right? So that's why I want to make sure that on Unity you kind of like do the same thing for him on just make sure he understands the Unity, the whole purpose, and what the Unity developers are trying to
Hmm.
accomplish with their tool.
All right.
All right. All right, so guys, I'll see you guys.
No
See
problem.
you
Enjoy
guys
the
later.
wedding.
Okay. Thank you. I'll see you soon.
Enjoy the wedding.
What's up?
Enjoy the wedding. Thank you
Yeah,
so much.
yeah. No, so I was actually I'm at the reception on there for like
Oh
a
wow.
work colleague from my wife's mine and my
Oh
wife's old
wow.
job.
That's
So
crazy.
yeah, so we're in Plant City, but we'll be
All
out of
right.
here soon. So listen, have a great one. Okay. All right, I'm
Thank
gonna
you
No
so
listen
much.
in.
problem.
I'll see you guys later.
Yep.
Okay.
No worries.
All right. Cool. So all right. Yeah, you can change. So exactly what he mentioned earlier. Basically, the editor is for doing things that it doesn't make sense to do in your code. But there's some things that, you know we have to eventually go into code for. Okay. So let's say I want to um, move this cube up 10 units. Okay. So
Hmm.
every single script, okay, um, um, or every single, so this script that you're editing, you're basically editing uh, the methods called start and update. Okay. So by default, these methods of every object you create do nothing. Okay. The start
Hmm.
method gets called on the very first frame of the game. Okay. So every game is 60 frames per second. So this gets called
Hmm.
then. And then I think in Python, actually Python's, the way you think about rendering in Python is the same, right? You have like an update method, or like a
Yeah, yeah, and I also believe you can change. I haven't worked with like
Mm-hmm.
changing anything. Like usually, if it's like a
Mm-hmm.
formatted like piece of code that is what I need, I just
Mm-hmm.
use that. I don't really change anything like
Mm-hmm.
the variables or anything.
But yeah, Python has like a
So
draw. I
yeah,
think they call it draw maybe. Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah. And then you name the positions on where you want to draw it and
exactly.
or where you want
So
it
it's the
to
same
go and
exact thing
yeah.
here, except it's called update, and then they give you one that um, only gets called on the first frame instead of every single frame. So let's go to update then. So
Yeah.
let's say I want to update. Let's say I want to move it not just like one unit at the start, but I want to move it one unit every single frame of the game. So I'm gonna say
Okay.
game object dot transform dot
And which how do you know which game object it's going to the?
this
Oh,
is the
because this is
script
already
for
in the
or
script for the
oh
cube
actually that's a great
or
question. I thought I covered that. Okay, so game whenever you have a script, right? Multiple
mhm,
I could put
mhm.
this component in multiple things, right? But
Ah, got it. Got it. Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
game object is the game object that owns it, that owns that particular script.
So yeah, yeah. So whichever game object owns that script,
Exactly.
that's what it's gonna
So
call to. Okay.
any behavior that I
Got it.
put in this red cube, I can also put that same behavior in this
Mm-hmm.
one by putting this
Mm-hmm.
script in there.
The movement script in there.
So
Okay.
game object dot transform or oops, and then there's a method I think. Translate. Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
and the first input is or this input is a vector 3 representing like the translation. So I'm going to say new vector 3. Okay, so this is the syntax for constructing, and then let's say I want to move it up 1.
Wait, sorry. So what does the vector
So the
do again?
vector this represents an x, y, and a z. So like 0
Mm-hmm.
1 0, and I want to translate
Mm-hmm.
up, so I put 1 on the y-axis, 0 here, 0
Y-axis.
here.
Okay.
In
Okay.
Python you might just use a
Okay.
vector 2 since everything is in 2D,
Mm-hmm.
or I don't know if Python calls it vector
It's
2, but
okay.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then so now this function is going to get called every single frame, and it's going to do this. Okay, so now
Make it go up.
if I run the game, or let's move the camera back actually. Okay. Okay. All right. So now, if we run, all right, what's going on?
Is it in the right object? Yeah, it is.
Oh, I never saved.
Okay.
It's not saved. Okay, and then run. Yep, and it zoomed up. Okay. So now,
Got it, okay.
that's how we can change the properties of things at runtime. Okay. Mm-hmm.
And it stops somewhere, right? Like when or does it
This happened
continuously
forever. Yeah, this
go?
kept going up forever and ever and ever. Because I never.
Right. Okay. But I can imagine that you could put a stop position
Or like, yeah, I could say like,
or no.
if game object dot transform dot position is less than, let's say, or I can't, or I don't know if I can't do less than on vectors, but I can save the y, so dot y, okay, and then if this is less than 10, I can even do less than or equal to. I just can't do equals because it's a float, so floats have like, floats can be inaccurate sometimes. So now it only moves up to there. So this keeps being called.
Okay.
This update keeps being called, but it's just this if
Yeah.
statement stops this from happening. Okay, cool. So now and notice how like I could translate this way, but I could also translate just by changing, you know, the y directly. So I could just say transform.y or transform.position.y plus equals 1. Or actually I can't do this. This is not something I'm allowed to do. I think I have to do this, or plus equals, because you can add things to vectors. So or okay. Save, and then yep, so same thing. Instead of using that method, you could just add to the position. All right, and then let's say I have a component like transform, and I don't know how to manipulate it. I could search up transform unity, and it'll take me to the scripting API page. Okay, so it shows you all the properties, methods, and then they even usually have a snippet. Okay, the snippet won't tell you all the things you can do, and sometimes they'll even give you like extra stuff like which is nice, but sometimes can be annoying. But sometimes it might be better to even you like quickly find a video and I'll show you how to transform it. Okay, so let's try changing another component of this cube. So let's say I want to let's say every frame I want to make like a police siren. Okay, so I want like this this cube to switch back from like this material to this one to this one to this one. Okay. And let's rename these materials. So let's say I want to do like blue, and then red. Okay. So in my script, I need a way to change I need a way to access this mesh render component of the game object, and I need a way to change the material component of this mesh render. Okay.
Question. So for the scripting part, let's say you call the game object, would it have your components in there?
Exactly.
For an example,
we can
like
get the list of all the components.
Dot.
The way we can do that is so when we're doing okay, so yeah, if we want to get the component, okay, we don't have to constantly grab the component every frame. Okay, it'll make more sense to just make a, let's say, a private reference to it. So let's say a private mesh renderer. Okay. All right. And let's just call it renderer. Okay. And then it's going to be null for now. But then in the very first frame, I'll do my setup. So I'll on the very first frame, I'm going to assign this equal to GameObject dot get component, and we do have to use this like type syntax. I don't know if you remember your Java days, but the Java
it was like programming. I said that was programming.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
For me, like the very first programming class. So
yeah, I think we learned about generics maybe at the end there, but basically it allows you, like, when I first was starting, I thought it would make more sense to like, I feel like they should have done something like, you know, get the component that has the name of this string. Okay, but that's not how they decided to do it. Instead, they wanted to make a function with no arguments, but instead you indicate the type, which I wouldn't have done it that way, but that's just how they decided to do it. So now, and so now it's going to search this game object for the mesh render component, which it has, and so that'll get assigned. So then, now every frame of the game, I want to check if the renderer dot. So I've actually never worked with the renderer before, so I'm going to see if there's maybe a property for material. Okay, so cool. If, and look, this material, it returns the first material that the renderer has. Notice how you can have multiple materials. So if you even wanted to get all of them, I think there's a materials property. So cool. So we're going to say material, and maybe we can use the equality operator with it, or maybe a dot equals, or it has an equals method. Alright, so if this equals another material, so right now I don't have a reference to these two materials in my script, okay, but here's something we can do in the editor, okay, which is really cool. In Unity, even though I said our game objects don't have, or game objects are composed of components, right? But game objects also have properties, right? Just a lot of them are not shown. Like, game object is technically a property, okay? And then I made this a property here too. If I want to be able to edit a property in the editor, I can make it public. So like, let's say a public int health points. Okay. Or let me just put this.
So this is you
exactly.
own,
I can give, in addition to the properties that every game object has by default.
Yeah, you can also create your own.
So now, alright, cool. So I clicked on my cube and where is it? Oh, there's an error.
Save it.
I need to. Unity won't work if there's any errors at all. So you just gotta comment it. Control K, Control C. There you go. All right. Health points. So now I can change this in my editor. Okay, I don't even have to go to the code to change it. Okay, and actually, okay, I said it was a property of the game object. It's not. It's a property of your component of your custom component you made. That makes sense? Hello?
Oh, wait, can you go over that again, please?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, hello? Hello?
Yeah, I can. I can
Yeah,
hear
can
you
you hear
now.
me? Yeah, so can you just
No
go over that
problem.
one more time, please?
So we,
Like, I understand this part. So once we create
if
our
we
own
make it,
property,
yeah, if we
correct?
make it
I'm just
public,
lost.
we can change it in the editor. But
Yeah,
it's not. Earlier I said it's a
got it.
property of the game object, but it's not, right?
Mhm.
If it
It's
was
not.
a property, we would
Okay.
see it like out here. But it's a property of the component that we made, the custom movement script.
Okay.
So like in your mind,
Okay,
even
okay, okay.
I still to this day will sometimes think that this script and this cube are the same thing, like, but they are not the same.
Mhm.
This script is its own
They're not.
entity, but it has a
That has its
exactly.
own
But
property.
that script has a reference to the game object, which is the cube. Okay. All right. So
Got it. And then through the reference of game object,
get its
you can also
components exactly.
That's when get it. That's when you would put the health points in there.
Yeah, exactly. So like for example, if this was like an enemy unit, the
Yeah.
all the properties of the enemy unit would exist in this component. It would not exist in the game object. It would exist
Yeah.
in the component. So like if you wanted to make anything an enemy, all you'd have to do is give it this component. So now okay, I need references to materials. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is the same thing. I'm gonna make public references so I can drag and drop. So I'm gonna make a public material, yep, red, and then public material blue. Okay, and
And you did that because you wanted it to show up in show up on the what do you call it?
oh my,
On the property?
huh? Yeah, I want to. Yes, I made it public so that if I save and go back. Look. So now in addition to health points, we have a material and a material. So now look what I can do. I can just drag this and this here.
You could drag the yeah. Got it. Nice.
All right. Technically, maybe there's a way in Unity where you can like access the file system and like assign this to the red in your file system, but that's so much work. We could just make these public and then and then drag.
Just
And then so now this is gonna annoy me. I forgot the key for untoggle comment Unity. Oh wait. Edit advanced. Control U. Okay. This is so weird. Anyways, dot equals render dot material dot equals, and then so if it's equal to red, then we're gonna set it to blue. Oh, it doesn't have a method for equals, it seems like. Oh, it's capital E. Okay. And then red.
okay.
So if it's if it equals red, then let's set the material to let's set the
Blue.
render.material equals. I'm just gonna assign to it blue. Okay, because remember, material is a property. It's not like it's not a component. Okay, so because it's a property, I can just change it using equals. And so now, else render dot material equals red. Okay. And then okay. So now let me move this back. And then I'm gonna comment this out. Okay, anyways, and then let's just have a print. We can print by just doing print and then changing
And where would that print out?
This is gonna print out to the console over here.
Oh, okay, okay.
Alright, none of the wait, that means the other one must be being called. Let me swap these to see. Okay, so the else statement keeps being called. So it is changing. It did get changed because it went into the else, but this equals method is not working correctly. So maybe there's another way we have to check equality of materials. Okay, let's compare the colors. So if render.material.color dot equals blue dot color dot a blue dot color. Okay. Let's see if this works. Alright, there we go. Alright, so we compared the actual colors instead of the materials. So, and that gets this flashing. Okay, so there is no component that does this behavior. Okay, so we had to create our own component that has references to other components or other components or other objects. Okay, so just because you're making something custom doesn't mean that you're not going to need existing exactly
access.
You're gonna have to combine the Unity components and the Unity classes to make your own custom things. Okay, it's just a matter of knowing what methods exist, okay, of your components, and then what materials to use. Okay, and sometimes you'll try something and it doesn't work, like I did here. So over here I tried comparing the material, but instead I tried comparing the color, and that ended up working.